Welcome to the latest collaboration podcast, West Tigers podcast and West Life podcast, and a little bit different for me. First time in the studio, first time also for Steve Stretton as well. Unfortunately, it's not a post-victory edition. It's a post-loss edition, and it was a 36-2 loss to the Panthers last night, Saturday night, of course, here in Parramatta. We're recording at Mic'd Up Studios, and a lovely facility. But let's get into it with our regular routine on the West Tigers podcast, and that's kicking off with the one-word submissions. Garry's here on my left. Garry, one word, please, for that loss to the Panthers.
Yeah, for me, Joel, it's just bowl constrictor. The Panthers absolutely strangled us last night. They were very clinical, and they just took us out.
That's a new one. Steve, what have you got for us?
For the occasion, I've got two words, Joel. I've got comprehensive. It was just Panthers from kickoff to final siren. And the second one is clinical. They were just clinical for 80 minutes.
What about the first 20 minutes? We'll come back to that. Steve and I might have a different opinion on the first 20 minutes and the West Tigers performance. And Rob Bashara is here. Rob, one word, please, for that 34-point loss.
Regression. We're going backwards. And that's quite disappointing. No matter whether we win or lose, I want to see some improvement moving forward to the end of the season. And I do have a second one for you, Joel. I don't know if you like it or not. Bradbury. I think we might Bradbury our way out of the wooden spoon. Okay, I think all the others are going to fall over, perhaps maybe South, maybe Newcastle. I think they'll struggle to get a win. Otherwise, we're in trouble. I don't know if we can win another game at the moment.
Stephen Bradbury is a West Tigers supporter, so it might be appropriate, mate.
Okay.
Some people would say unfairly that we've used up our Bradbury component in 2005, but that's a debate for another day. As always, I'm a little bit cheeky with my one-word submissions. I've got a few here. I don't have physicality. I've taken physicality off the list, but I put collision. Until we can win the collision, we're going to be treading water, in my opinion. I've also got line speed. I thought our line speed was particularly poor last night. And in that same vein, the wrestle. We're really, really poor at the wrestle. I've got wingers. Disappointed in a couple of the efforts, especially from Skelton. Tui Tupu, of course, first game, bad play of the ball, but I'll give him a break for that. We'll talk about Skelton on this show. And then I've got the kicking game, which I thought was woeful. We might have a bit of a chat about that in a minute, Garry. And the halves, some concerns about Latu Fainu and Jerome Luai and how they're going to link up into the future. And in particular, Latu not running the ball. That's his strength, but he just distributed all night. So there's a lot there to kick us off. But the kicking game, what do you think, Garry?
I was really disappointed in it. I went to the game yesterday. I sat high up in that southern stand, up near the top, and I had a very good view of the field. And the Panthers were often only having two guys back, both towards the sidelines. So there's a lot of space down the middle. And if you remember early, we put up a couple of bombs that actually bounced because that space was there. And I would have liked to seen us driving deep, straight down the field into that space. I think there was an opportunity there to really take control of field position with a smart tactical kicking game. But it seems our game plan's the same every single week in regards to our kicking, and it's hoist it high and pin them down in their own end. It's a strategy we've used pretty much every single game this year. I really thought yesterday there was an opportunity to take advantage of the Panthers leaving the middle of the field open late in sets and driving it into that space.
So hard to take advantage of that, though, Garry, when you're kicking the ball from inside your 40, and that was happening all game. I don't know if we got a kick away on the halfway line, for the full 80 minutes. And you're right, all season we've just been hoisting these bombs, but when you're kicking from inside your 40, it's hard to make distance, right?
Yeah, what we needed to be doing is driving it low and long. The space was there. The space was down the middle of the field. And instead, we're still putting up those bombs that were falling about 20 metres out from the try line.
Found Edwards almost every time.
Yeah, but if you have a look back at the replay, have a look at where he was positioned on fifth plays. The winger was dropping back on one side, and he was covering the other sideline.
But I'd go further than that as well. There were a lot of uncontested bombs. Like when Penrith were putting up bombs, they were challenges. Jenkins dropped a ball over the line. They contested with Skelton when he made a knock-on. And not only did we not contest bombs, there are a couple of really weird options. We were nearly scoring on on one end in the first half, and then Luai goes back to the blind side, puts a grubber kick that was nothing. Latu later on in the set, I think he might have been playing for the post, but he kicks the ball dead, and Penrith get a 7-tackle set. So our kicking game all around, it wasn't just Luai. There was a really bad kick from Latu there as well.
To me, the reason why those bombs were uncontested, they were the wrong kicks.
Exactly.
We were putting kicks up, trying to pin them in their own end. They weren't meant to be attacking kicks. Because we were kicking from the 40, like Steve was saying, our kicks were going too deep for us to chase and be competitive kicks. They were defensive kicks.
Yep.
When I think there was a much better opportunity to drive the ball low last night, better than most weeks that we've seen. Watching it from the viewpoint I had, we really should have been driving low and hard straight down the middle of the field.
But, just to your point, Rob, about uncontested kicking, and I've been saying this all year, we all have. Sometimes you just wonder how much training the team does because our execution is so poor so often. You've got to ask that question. Now, they're a first-grade footy team and they're a professional organisation, so you imagine they're doing as much as anyone else. But I wonder sometimes because you watch the Storm, you watch the Panthers, and they just get these parts of the game right all the time. They execute a kick to within an inch of its life. There are 2 or 3 players there to grab the ball. There are 2 or 3 there surrounding it to grab it if it goes left or right, and they execute. 95% of the time, we execute poorly. We don't have players there in position. We muck it up. We miss the opportunity. And you've got to ask yourself, why is that? Is it just the personnel or is it the amount of training? Do we do the repetition that's needed to execute at the level of NRL?
Well, there's a few things there. We're missing Buller, and Buller seems to be our strike when we put a bomb up. He's the one that chases at the moment, and there's nothing wrong with this because we're trying to get a quick play the ball on the last tackle, but you would have noticed that Cito was taking the 5th tackle hit up, getting on his stomach, trying to get the quick play the ball for the kick. But even just another thing, why didn't we try to, I don't know what Tuitupu's like under the high ball. I haven't watched him in Cup, but he's got a height mismatch against Brian Toto there. Did we put up one bomb to Toto? Not at all.
The first thing I'll discuss is Tito taking that 5th tackle or 4th tackle.
Does it quite regularly.
Yeah, it's actually a tactic. It means that he doesn't have to chase.
Correct.
So he can play the ball. Everyone else gets down the field. It doesn't matter that he's offside on the kick because he's always going to be offside because he's played the ball because he's not chasing. So he's at fullback. He's staying at fullback. So it's actually a tactic from the club.
Of course it is.
Have him take that 5th tackle. And it's actually a really good one with Tito because the amount of damage that he causes when he hits that lineup, he actually does get a really quick play the ball on those. So it does put us in a really good position. But you will notice next week when Buller's back, he won't be taking those 5th tackle hit-ups because he, as you said, he is our primary chaser and has through the season put a lot of pressure on guys taking those bombs.
I want to circle back around to the halves in a moment, but Taruva, 26 runs, 262 metres.
Amazing game.
Really, his heart was 100% in that game. Who's he going to replace? Which winger is he going to replace, Garry?
That is a really tough question because Skelton was really poor last night. He, again, a number of times he's come off his wing last night. He did put another good shot on last night, and I have 2 problems with that because he did it about 3 or 4 other times where he didn't get to the position to put the shot on and got caught out in defence. But he also puts his head in a terrible position every time he does it. Even last night, his head pretty much went straight into the stomach of the player he was trying to tackle. So it's a risk defensively, and it's a risk health-wise. I think we saw him go off for a HIA earlier in the season from one of those hits that he didn't quite get right. So for me, it would be Taruva going back to Skelton's wing is what I'd be looking at, or maybe swapping around depending where Isaac is better to play. I'd like to see Isaac get another shot. I thought he was pretty good for a debut last night.
Yeah, for a game where he didn't get much opportunity, we were on the back foot all night, so you're not going to get good ball out to your outside back. So I thought he was pretty solid for a debut. That's for sure.
Yeah, I'm going to Taruva on the right wing. There's nothing against Tuitupu. I'm happy to get him another chance. Mm-hmm. I think we'll see Makasini on the left wing.
Yeah, that's a don't open that can of worms. That's a whole other can of worms. Makasini's birthday today, 18. Shares his birthday with Eddie Otto, interestingly, and that's why Eddie's not with us this evening.
Well,
he's out celebrating.
With Makasini? Or
maybe potentially with Makasini. They're into their 14th vodka Red Bull, maybe.
Happy 40th, Eddie.
Exactly.
40. Yeah, he looks much older than that.
It's definitely not Eddie's 18th birthday. Interestingly, just on that game, going back to the wingers, it's funny, and we don't really need to open a discussion on this, but just something that I noticed was that Penrith didn't target our debut winger. They kept going to Skelton's side every time, which I thought was really interesting.
If you see a guy coming in off his wing like that, there's a reason they kept on going back there.
Yeah.
Coaching.
And there was a number of times where they went that side and messed it up as well. So it could have been a lot worse for Skelton.
Well, I saw pre-game the Panthers, I think, score 60% of their points down their left side. So, it wasn't a great change to their game plan, but I thought that was interesting because normally the debutant winger comes in for plenty of action, but I thought he was quite good, Tui Tupu, and I'd be dropping Skelton, and he can be playing a little bit in the Magpies team. As far as I'm concerned, after that performance, the halves, gentlemen, big concerns for me. I'm really, really worried about what I saw. Steve, has the command come down from up above that Latu Fainu has to distribute and not run? Was it a choice that he made in that game? Is it something to complement Luai's game? I just thought it just wasn't working last night at all.
Well, it's definitely not a choice for just last week's game because Latu hasn't run the ball for 2 weeks now. I don't think he hit the line at all in the last 2 games. So I don't know whether he's playing a little bit injured. I don't know whether he's worn out. Benji gave him the excuse in the press conference that he's young bloke playing first grade and he's played a lot of games back to back and he's feeling that. So that might be the case. I don't think we've got a situation where we can rest him. That's for sure. He needs to go out, but he needs to run the ball. That's his skill set. He's explosive. He's fantastic when he takes off so quickly, in and around the ruck. So, that gives us an extra point of attack. That stops your defensive line. It allows us to then get a quick ball out and hold the defence in because they think he's going to run. Once he stops running, the defensive line can relax and then you pass it out wider and there's no problem wrapping that up.
Rob, did we sign Jock Madden to play reserve grade?
Yes, we did. But I think I like the signing, and I think he's an adequate backup should someone get injured. I think Benji's got to decide who runs the team and who the general is. I don't think it's good for Latu's development to take him off the way he did and to move him around from halfback to lock. The other thing I will say, and again, Latu's very young, and I'm a massive fan of his, Latu's got to have a louder voice. If Latu had Jerome Luai's voice, I think it would work a lot better. It's not so much the running, Steve. I want to see Latu straighten that attack and dig into the line because he does take the right options. He knows when the Panthers' defence jam up really quickly to hold the ball and take the tackle. So he's got the IQ there. But I don't think you're doing anything for his confidence by shuffling positions, tinkering around with everything. And it goes to everything else. Even Skelton, whether he was on the left wing last week, formed a great combination with May. Suddenly he's on the right wing this week. I don't think the coach is helping the situation as well.
Yeah, I agree with that, but I'd say that he's definitely taken the running game out of his game in the last 2 weeks. He's running way less than he did, like say a month ago, and he looked dangerous every time he ran the ball, and that's vanished. And naturally, the minute that vanishes, the defensive line start to think, well, we don't have to worry about him. We can just focus on the outside men.
But I think he was running the ball more because he was playing that lock role. So now Adam's getting the ball first instead of Latu, so he's got a bit more time to make that choice, whether he runs or whether he passes.
Look, there's a couple of issues with his running for me. And the first one is we've moved him from lock to half. And the way we have structured our attack the last couple of weeks is that lock has been playing that kind of halfback role. But if you have a look at our opponents for the last 2 weeks, we played the Warriors and we played Penrith. They were 2 packs that have dominated us. And it's really hard to both run the ball and straighten the attack when the defense is moving up on you as soon as you get the ball. I think that's why we're moving a lot more sideways last night. And last week against the Warriors, a tactic, even coming out of our own end, was shifting from side to side. And we started the game with that last night as well. But then that disappeared, and we really went into that one-out sort of football. That wasn't working against Penrith. We weren't getting forward, which then Latu's getting the ball, and the defense is right in front of him. So you can't straighten. You end up passing the ball to a guy who's not in a much better position. And for me, what it highlights is we still lack that genuine guy in the middle who can punch through a line. That's the most important signing we need to make. I like the front rowers we have, but we don't have that guy who can really disrupt the defensive line and create room for the halfback to actually straighten and to actually run.
Well, we went on a bit of a tangent there because we started in the halves, we ended up in the front row, but that's all good.
But I went back to the halves, Joel. It was all about getting to the right spot.
There was something going on there.
In the old days, we called that the runaround movement.
Yeah, exactly.
We've actually got a front rower that can play halfback from time to time, so, you know.
Yeah, that's true. Look, stop leading me down rabbit holes. Okay, definitely agreeing with Rob that we're missing Buller 100%. It's a massive factor. It changes our whole attack, Garry.
Yeah, that Buller out, I don't think there's been enough mentioned about that. Our attack looks much worse when Buller's not there. I expect our attack to look much better next week because he provides all the shape. If any game he hasn't played this year, you go back to round one, you go back to any other game he's missed this year, our attack looks much worse because we don't have that genuine option out the back. And Taruva, I'm not going to bag the guy at fullback. He's had a fantastic couple of games at fullback, and I can't criticise that at all.
I want to mention his improvement in over that 3-week period. Right? That first game, which was at Leichhardt, I think, maybe.
It was the Roosters, I think.
Yeah.
Okay. That first game, you know, he was solid, but he looked nervous. His improvement over, like, you know, he's going to go back to wing for sure, but his improvement over 3 weeks is exceptional.
And he's been very safe under the high ball. He brings the ball back very hard. We spoke about that fourth tackle hit up that he's been taking that actually does damage the defensive line. But he's not that genuine threat in attack that Buller is. And we have been missing that massively. And I think that makes the halves job much harder as well because you don't have that other guy. And Toller's the other one I think Buller being missing has hurt. Since Buller's been out, Toller's attack has fallen off a cliff. And a lot of that I view as he's not getting that quality ball that Buller provides to him. He's not getting that space. He's not getting that early ball one-on-one with his opposite number, and that has affected his game massively in the last couple of weeks, and that's all down to Buller for me.
I agree. I wouldn't say it's all down to Buller because we've already been smashed in the ruck.
Yeah,
too.
100%.
So
it all starts there. Yep.
You know, you're not going to get any momentum downfield when you're getting smashed in it.
Rob, Stafford Toa, definitely injured. He's not the player that he was 2 months ago.
Yeah, I've posed this to Adele a number of times. He looks like he's carrying an arm, or he actually looks like he doesn't care at the moment. That's the only way I can describe what he's doing. And further to that, just with Benji changing him occasionally, playing fullback and feeding the ball to Ruvit, it's a bad move. But is that move being designed because he actually is trying to protect his body?
Is it because we're waiting for Macassini to turn 18?
No, it's not. Macassini's the left side of the field player. That's what everyone keeps telling me. I don't know if Taylor can switch and play right centre and we play Macassini left centre. That's a potential option as well. But Toa has gone, like I jokingly, I've got a running joke with a mate of mine. I said to Toa about Toa 6 weeks ago, that Toa's in the top 5 centres at the moment in the league.
He must have heard you, mate.
He heard me, and he's now probably in the top 50 centres in the league.
So are we seeing the Stafford Toa that we've seen last year and the year before, like flashes of brilliance, but just can't sustain it? Like this year, he's probably sustained it for half a season. You know, I'm one of his biggest fans. I think he's a great footballer when he's on, but the problem has been in the past, through to injury partly, that he just doesn't do it week after week. And it looked like this year he got away from that and got over it, but this last few weeks he's maybe reverted. You know,
I'd like to think he's injured, but his form has absolutely regressed since he had to announce that he hasn't actually re-signed with us. Now I'm wondering if he's sulking a little bit too.
Well, I don't think it's sulking. I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt. His performance yesterday would almost be at the level where I'd drop him.
Yes, I agree.
I want to give him the opportunity next week to play with Buller coming back and see if that makes a difference for him. And I'll be honest, yesterday I wasn't – the attack was really poor, but the defense is what had me worried yesterday. There was some really bad defensive errors. He fell off some really bad tackles. And what I heard from the club when I went out to the captain's run a couple of weeks ago was that the elbow was a cork. It seems it's looked much worse than that at times over the past 3 weeks. So if it is only a cork, hopefully it's better next week, because his attack was one of the reasons why we're able to stay in games and win those games early in the season, and we need that back.
Rob's going to shoot me down, but maybe we haven't re-signed him because we're waiting to see how Makasini goes. So maybe he is sulking. So maybe it's.
I think he did enough though to say that we deserve. Like the first half of the year, he had that consistency that he never had in his West Tigers career.
I agree.
And suddenly he's just fallen off a cliff.
Yeah, I think he's definitely injured, but there could be other things going on. I want to talk about Taylor May, but firstly, I mean, if you're going to beat the West Tigers, as we bang on a lot about line speed, the Panthers' line speed, really, really, really impressive. But if there's something we can model on their game, it's that multiple points of attack that they've got where they can throw so much at you from Edwards and Yeo and Cleary and also, if that's not enough, I mean, the fullback, the halfback, the 5'8", the lock, they can all put something on, Garry. And then you look at our attack, and we just look so pedestrian and predictable. In even though we're playing or trying to play a somewhat flamboyant style of football, it's still sort of like our opposition is often just one step ahead of us.
Look, I think there's a couple of reasons for that. Steve spoke about repetition, and I'm not sure that we run through those plays constantly during the preseason, and it makes it very hard to do that during the season. But there's been so many changes in our spine throughout the year, and right now, even what our best spine would be right now hasn't actually played together ever. So our best spine would have Appy at hooker, Latu at half, and Luai at 6, and Dream Buller at 1. That combination's never, ever actually played together.
Just with yesterday's game, Garry, from the moment Toa made that break after Penrith dropped the ball, went down the other end.
Didn't he look slow on that too?
Not only that, but from that moment, that was probably the most enterprising we looked for about 2 minutes. We actually threw multiple shots when we were in the red zone, and that was it. Other than that, every time we got in the red zone in the first half, we just looked so mundane.
Well, I think we went out there with an attitude to go around them. You know, from early in the game, they'll throw the ball around. When they saw that Penrith's defence is just so solid that wasn't going to work, we couldn't create numbers, then they reverted to trying to go through the middle, and we just don't have the power in the middle to go through everything. You're not going to beat Penrith through the middle.
I agree we don't have the power to go through the middle, but Benji said in the press conference we tried to play Penrith style against Penrith, and I thought that was ludicrous for him to say that.
Yeah, I don't know if that's true, because I thought early in the game, even coming out of our own end, I saw the same tactic we tried against the Warriors, and that was spreading the ball from our own end and trying to move their forwards side to side to tire them out. That was obviously the tactic early in the game. It was obviously the tactic in that first 20 minutes, and I think Steve's right. When we couldn't strip numbers, and I'll go back to we couldn't strip numbers because without Buller, we don't have any shape. So when we couldn't strip numbers, Penrith just eats that every day of the week. If you're just shifting from left to right and not really offering any shape, not offering any variety to that, Penrith will just eat that for dinner every day of the week, and they'll strangle you out of the game.
I saw that early shift slightly different. Those early shifts weren't to beat Penrith. Those early shifts were to spread their defence so they couldn't gang tackle us. So we try and spread it really early on the first tackle, and that way they can't get 3 guys, 4 guys jamming up on us like New Zealand were doing early in the game against us. So I don't see that as us trying to get around them as a game plan. It was just to spread them out so then we can start punching up the middle.
Yep, and move their forwards around.
Correct.
So I didn't see it as a tactic to score from 80 metres out and go around them either.
Correct.
But we did the exact same tactic against the Warriors.
Yep.
Early in the sets, coming out of our own end, we're going from side to side, and it was to move their big forwards around. And with hopefully, again, you don't get the gang tackling, but you also tire those bigger forwards out. And Penrith does have a decent forward back and some guys you want to tire out. And then try and take advantage of them through the middle later in the game.
You know, they've got a couple of forwards that we thought weren't good enough for us, and we let them go, Garner and Papali'i. So we can't keep talking about the Penrith machine as though we had those guys, and we said they weren't good enough for us. So maybe it's the Penrith system as opposed to...
I would take Garner back tomorrow.
I would take Garner back tomorrow too.
Could be going to Manly. That was the last I heard. Steve, how is it possible that our best player, our player that looked to have the most physicality, for want of a better term, the player that looked the most threat, is a guy that hasn't played other than last week and half a State Cup game? I mean, Taylor May looked to be, in my opinion, again, a step above everybody else in our team.
Yeah, well, everyone's saying it. And Taylor May is an athlete. You know, he got his fitness up in a couple of weeks and was ready for first grade probably 3 or 4 weeks earlier than the Tigers originally proposed. But, you know, he was solid. He was solid. He definitely didn't let the team down on the weekend. He was brilliant the week before, but he was solid last week. and he's going to be our left centre for quite a while. Well, perhaps he might go to right if Macassini comes in. But yeah, good footballer.
He's all class. He's got the IQ. There was one movement, Gary, you'd probably remember it in the second half, when Penrith were shifting the ball to Taylor's side, and they had the overlap, and Taylor committed to the ball player, the next receiver, and the guy after that, and they never found the overlap. And not only that, like Targo and Toto had quiet games by their standards. So Penrith really identified the skeleton side of the field.
Yeah, I didn't think he was as good attackingly yesterday, Steve, but defensively he was really strong. And
lacked opportunity.
Did lack opportunity with the ball, but he makes the right decisions.
Tuipupu scores if he does that little flick to him with the left hand.
But yeah, he makes the right decisions in defence time and time again, and hits hard and makes the opposition think twice about running at him, because he does actually hit really hard.
He's going to be an asset. He's so good.
Going to be an asset. We need to get that extent. We need to re-sign him and get him on a top 30 contract as soon as possible.
100%.
We can't have him off contract for much longer, because other clubs are going to come looking for him.
Yeah, they'll swoop in and grab him. Like his brother, the funny thing watching him is that he never looks puffed. Like they must have massive lung capacity or something. They're just great athletes, that they just always look so composed and ready to go, and so cool and calm. So yeah, I hope we don't lose him. I think if we're going to kick off a bit of a talk about the forwards, I'm going to ask the question, like Royce Hunt, surely what he could bring in a 15-minute stint is more than what we're going to get from some of our other options off the bench. Like, we need some
and is
impact.
what we need.
So don't we as fans, or don't we need to know what's going on there or something? Because he was I read on the West Tigers podcast forum, somebody made the point, and that I'm stealing, which is that he was involved in 5 of our wins. Like, I think most people would say, well, when Royce Hunt's on and firing, we're a better team. What's the point of having him and playing him in State Cup?
But Joel, we've talked about the need for the club to change culture and to have standards and stick to standards. Now, from what I've heard, he's unfit. He hasn't made the standards. He hasn't ticked the boxes at training. And despite having a couple of good games in reserve grade, he's still not at the level that the club believes he needs to be at to play first grade consistently and pump out the minutes they want from him. And so if you make an exception for him and put him on the field because we're getting desperate, then what you're doing is you're accepting second-rate standards. And we've done that for way too long. So I'd love to have him out there. I'd love to see him in the 17. But I'm going to stick by Benji and the coaching group, because I think they've got to maintain those standards.
Yeah, the club has told him they want more minutes out of him. They've set some key targets he needs to hit, some fitness targets he needs to hit to show that he's ready to play those minutes. And I don't think they're going to put him into first grade until he hits those targets. Hopefully it's very soon, because we've spoken about already tonight, our key thing we're missing is that lack of punch through the middle. And he's the one forward in our club that can provide that lack of he can provide that lack of punch. He can improve that.
Plenty of those guys.
Yeah.
He can improve that lack of punch through the middle.
Yeah, we've got to get about 30 minutes a game out of him. I'm not with you on the 15-minute part, Joel. I'd rather get some bigger minutes. So I kind of lean to what Steve's saying there.
Okay. Steve, before we started recording, we had a little conversation about the first 20 minutes of the game, and my notes seem to show that my thought after 20 minutes was that we weren't on top of them. They weren't on top of us. We were sort of holding each other somewhat to a bit of a stalemate. You could kind of see what was going to come, but you're saying that really the Panthers were just toying with us in the first 20 minutes.
Well, that's my point. Well, what you just said, you could see what was going to come. So progressively, in that first 20 minutes, every set, the Panthers just moved down the field. All right, so they started their set early in the game on their 10-metre. Then the next set they started on the 15. Then the next set they started on the 20. Right, we were progressively getting pushed back deeper and deeper and starting our sets closer and closer to our goal line. I was watching it, right? I haven't looked at stats. I was just watching it, right? And I was saying to myself, we're going to drop a ball coming out, or we're going to give away a 6 again in a minute. And sure enough, after that went for about 15 to 20 minutes, that's what happened. We gave away two set restarts, and they scored. It was just so inevitable. And everyone was saying in the post match that we held it with them for 20 minutes. The first 20 we went with them. I don't agree. I thought it was obvious that they were getting slowly but surely they were getting on top of us, and they were just wearing us down. And then bang, we cracked, and we couldn't hold them.
Couldn't go with them.
Yeah, in my eyes, that's just Penrith being Penrith.
Yeah,
that's exactly how they play.
And us being us.
Yeah, and us being us. But I think Penrith kind of approached last night as, let's go out, show what sort of side we are, how we win semi-final games. And I think they did toy with us a little bit. They were a little bit like a cat toying with a mouse. Because I think if they really had to push the go button last night, they could have scored a lot more than 30 points. But they really stuck to their game plan last night for the entire game and just strangled us out of it. And when Penrith's playing their best football, when Penrith's playing semi-final football, when they're winning grand finals, that's exactly how they play. They just give you no chance to get into that game, and that's what they did last night. They took control after about that 20-minute mark, and they just never took their foot off, and that's what we've seen from them for the past 5 years.
I know this is not a Penrith podcast, but I reckon it was a key game for them, and I could feel it when the minute they put Liam Martin in the 17 last minute. I thought they're building for something here. They've won what, 5 or 6 on the trot.
Six on
the trot now. And their game was getting better and better and better. But you wouldn't say in that month it was clinical, right? It wasn't that clinical. But last night, I thought they wanted to put in a clinical performance. That was their goal. Right? It wasn't to blow us off.
It was a statement game.
Yeah, it was to play semi-final football.
Yeah, and I really think they could have gone away with that game in the last 20 minutes and really put a number on us. But they stuck to that game plan. And I agree with you. I 100% think they were trying to put a message out there. And it wasn't a message that we can just blow you away. It was a message that we'll just strangle you.
I agree that they strangled us, but I'm going to disagree totally about the first 20 minutes. We got into the arm wrestle with them. That's what we tried to do, and we forced an error. Edwards loses the ball in the 12th minute. We've got a scrum 20 metres out, the centre of the field. Taylor May gets called for being held up, and then it's a really poor last tackle option there that we let the air off. So if you're trying to go set for set with Penrith and you get that opportunity and then your attack isn't good enough to take advantage of that opportunity, then there's an issue. I 100% agree with you both about they absolutely strangled the you-know-what out of us once they got ahead. But we had our opportunity to kick away and we didn't do it, boys. And even in reference to what you're saying about the flick pass from Skelton, we defended that. We got past that. So you want to go, if you want to, like Benji said, go set for set with Penrith, we did that, but we don't have the attack or the organisation to take advantage of when they do force an error, because there are a number of errors from Penrith in that first half. And we didn't take advantage of it. And if you just keep giving a 4-time in a row premiership winner a chance, of course they're going to squeeze the life out of you. And they stepped on our throat. And we had 2 of their props put grubber kicks, for Christ's sake. And one of them, Smith, I promise you, he could have taken Taruva on and scored himself. That was arrogance. They treated us with contempt in the end.
But Penrith backs themselves to defend those mistakes. That's exactly what they do. Like,
I agree.
That's what they've done for 4 years, and they'll get into that arm wrestling. If they make a mistake, they defend it.
They don't just defend it, Gary. They also recover from it so quickly. Like I actually watched.
Yeah, we're still recovering today from our first error yesterday.
Well, we're not even close to recovering yet. Like to your point, Rob, I was actually thinking through that game that every time we did get an opportunity, the minute Penrith got the ball back, they put on a 60-metre set.
Yep.
Every single time.
Yep.
So not only did they repel, our attack, they then recovered and pushed us back to where we were 2-3 minutes ago.
Yeah. They identified Skelton's side of the field, like even that try before half-time, that was an 80-metre effort. So they knew exactly what they were doing. But it's, look, this probably isn't the greatest analogy, but if you're an up-and-coming young tennis player and Novak Djokovic is serving and you get to 30-40, you take the chance. Djokovic made an error 20 metres out from his own line and we got the scrum feed and we didn't take advantage of that. So we've got to take our opportunities. We did everything we wanted to do. We didn't lose it on the scoreboard. We were in the game. We had a chance and a poor kick. I think I made a note. After Taylor May got held up, Luai did that blindside kick and it amounted to nothing.
Yeah, the Panthers cleaned that up and sort of marched downfield from there. I like the word clinical. I'd love it if we could use that in the context of something to do with the West Tigers. That would be fantastic. Just once would be lovely.
We could cut it shorter and make it clinic.
Yeah,
That's where we're all going to end up, I think.
or extend it and it's clinically insane.
Yeah, exactly. I like it. Letting the air off. So the Dewey penalty. It's 0-0. We get the penalty right in front. The right decision, the wrong decision, gentlemen. What do you think? And was it about that 20-minute?
I'm happy to go first. It was 100% the right decision. You want to arm wrestle with Penrith, you just take the lead. Get to 2-0. Hopefully you get another opportunity, which we did, and try and get to 8-0, which we didn't. So I like the idea of it. There'd been no points for, 20-odd minutes in the game. So
yeah, at the time I wanted us to take the 2, so I can't really change my point of view on that now.
Yeah, no argument.
Okay. Yeah, you can see an argument either way. I'm going to sit on the fence on that one. Where do the West Tigers...
So, Joel, you
I was
just...
going to say, Joel,
Yeah.
give us your opinion.
disagree, but it's 3 against 1. Is it?
It's good for conversation.
You can see it either way when all three of us said one way.
I don't have an opinion. In Heights, where do the West Tigers sit? And don't say like literally on the ladder, but it's hard to judge because the Panthers they'd won 6 games coming straight into that. We're a team that's a bit of a lower placed team, but is it as bleak as it feels today, Steve? I feel really, really deflated after
Yeah,
that.
it is. It is, and I'm deflated too. And I'll tell you why I think it's bleak. Because 5 minutes before half-time, you just knew Penrith were going to score a try. Because it's happened last week, it happened the week before, it happened the week before, it happened the week before. Like, it happens every single week. And what causes me to be bleak is the fact that we don't fix our errors. This is what, are we not capable? Surely circled, underlined in big red bold print is stay focused, play through 40 minutes, don't let your guard down, no errors in the last 5 minutes, discipline play. But every single week.
Can I give you those stats, boys? I made the notes for the next show, but I won't read them out.
Okay.
On that show. So round 5, Xavier Willison scores just before halftime.
Mm-hmm.
Round 8, Mulatalo scores before halftime. I've thrown in round 9. Sewer drops the ball in the last minute of the half over the line. So that should have been a try, but Buller goes down the other end. Round 13, Drinkwater scores just on halftime. I can't even read my underwriting. Who did we play in round 14? Penrith. Jenkins, 39th minute. Saab, 39th minute against Manly. Mark Nwanganitawaze against the Roosters just before halftime, and Dylan Edwards yesterday. But I will say one thing, Steve. It was bleak watching it live. We did a live watch at the Orange Grove Hotel. Shouts out to the Orange Grove Hotel for that. We had a great day there. I felt devastated. Watching the game again today.
You watched that game?
I had to.
That is the most boring game of football I've ever watched in my life.
I had to, but
I'm surprised you're awake now.
Worse than the Titans 2 years.
I was ripping in on Twitter. I was ripping in on Twitter saying we got no structure, we got no system, we got no this, we got no that. And I'm watching the game and I'm thinking after 21, 22 minutes, we're not playing that badly. Like, we really weren't playing that badly. We're in the wrestle. We're so impotent in attack. And that is the thing I don't understand with a benchy Marshall coach side. But as you alluded to earlier, one, the forwards are losing the battle. We only beat a half a New South Wales Cup pack against the Roosters. And 2, we're missing Jareen Buller, who is in attack, as you said last week on this collaboration pod, our most important attacking weapon.
Yeah, I'm not quite as bleak as you are, Steve. And that's one of the worst games of football I've sat through yesterday. I really didn't enjoy it. I was sitting with Rach and Kelly and I said to them, I want to go home now. And I never want to leave a game. I was over that game of football. But Penrith's in really good form at the moment. It's 6 in a row. They're 4 times premiership winners. They're going to be a difficult side to beat in the finals. They're playing really good football. And as much as we hate to say it, we are not a good football team. And we're coming off 3 wooden spoons. We're going to be in the bottom few teams again this year. And that's what we expect. I don't want to be that team anymore, and I'm not going to make excuses for that performance yesterday because the performance yesterday isn't good enough. But it's the level of our football team, and we had a couple of players out. Our second rowers, we were worried about our second rowers going into the start of the year. The second rowers we had starting yesterday are a real problem, and we need Samuela back really quickly, and we need Kai Pearce-Paul for next season because neither second rower helped us at all yesterday. So Buller and those second rows will make a difference. I think we'll be better attacking over the next couple of weeks. But we are still a bottom 4 team, and we're playing a side that I think is going to be very difficult to beat in semi-final football.
So that sounds to me like there's a reason for us to feel bleak, right?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
100% it's a reason to feel bleak,
Yeah.
and it's something we've got to improve. But I can't expect any better from the side we're putting out on the field.
Let's flip it, right? Let's try to be a little positive about it, because I'm usually the one who jumps on here and says, our squad is not that far off, right? I'm usually fairly positive about that. If we look at our, we've got Buller at fullback, we're going to have Taruva, and maybe Skelton comes good. He's on the wing. We've got May and Toa in the centres. We've got Makasini sitting around there somewhere. We've got Luai and Fainu at 5'8" and halfback. You'd have to admit that's a pretty good first grade backline, right? Like those guys, apart from maybe Skelton at the moment and Fainu's still coming through, those guys would be playing first grade, in a lot of clubs.
Yeah.
So then we go to our forward pack, because obviously we're not giving them the platform to be able to do what they can do as a backline. And we keep saying we're a fullback short. We're bringing a new second rower in. Maybe we've got to do the experiment at lock, or maybe we're still looking for a lock. Are we then close to a competitive top 8 team?
I think if you put the right middle, the right prop forward into that side yesterday, you put a guy who can create some punch through the middle, who can cause a little bit of damage to the defensive line and get you playing against a retreating defense, and a lock. I'm not sold on Dewey. I didn't think he was great yesterday. If you fix those 2 positions, that goes a long way to improving what we got on the field next year. I still think there's some concerns about our depth, but the Magpies have had a pretty good last 2 months as well. So that's improving a little bit. But if we fix up those 2 key positions, and they're the key positions for me, the ones we spoke about at the start of the season were second row, centre, we spoke about lock, and we spoke about prop. I think we've fixed centre. We're making an attempt to fix the second row with Kai Pearce-Ball. We'll see how he goes when he gets over here. But we're still short at prop and lock. And what does please me is that we've fixed 2 of those positions already this season. If we can fix those other 2, we're a lot more competitive next year.
Steve, I'm with you on the back line. I think we're set, even in terms of depth as well. I think we're looking really good. We've got players that can play other positions. Taruva can fill in at fullback. We can juggle things around there. But with the forwards, we need at least 2 middles. And I will say one thing. I don't want to be the party pooper. I'm not sold on Kai Pearce-Paul in terms of him being elite. And Samuela's not there yet. He still needs time to develop. I watched backup second rowers today. I saw Sasangi for the Raiders playing out the centres, and I think he's better than any of the 2 guys we've got. And I also see like a guy like Zach Hosking, who is backup for Matt Nicholson. Like Matt Nicholson's only their right edge. And I haven't even bothered looking at the other teams. I just saw 2 players in a game today thinking they'd be first graders at the Tigers, and they're backup for these other clubs. So our depth is really – I want 2 middles. I want May's minutes reduced, and I want to see the Terrell May that we had earlier in the season that wasn't burnt out. Okay, he's still putting in the minutes, but he's not running with the gusto that he was early in the season. Well, and I love him. He's been the world to our club, and he's shouldered that pack, okay? But he needs to be freshened a little bit, brought back to a 40, 50-minute role. He can't keep playing 65 to 80 minutes every week for the next few years. He's going to be absolutely burnt out.
He'll end up getting an injury.
And you have a look at his stats yesterday. Now, it's going to sound stupid because they're actually still pretty good stats. It was 130 metres, 50 tackles. Like, that's a great performance. But he was getting 170 metres earlier in the season. And so there has been a drop-off in his form, and I still think he's playing good football. He's still really important to what we're doing. But, yeah.
He needs help.
Around that 60-minute mark, I think is just about perfect for him. I don't want to reduce his minutes too much, because I think he actually plays better football playing more minutes. But over the course of the season, playing 80 minutes week in, week out is a little bit too much.
Can I just touch on the bleakness for a sec that you mentioned earlier, Steve? I thought the first half was okay yesterday. The bleakness was the second half. But what the real bleakness is for me, we played New Zealand in round 4 and we should have won. And we went there a few weeks ago and never looked a chance of winning. Except, okay, we scored early, I suppose. So I've got to give us that much. We played the Panthers 7 weeks ago. We probably would have won the game if Dewey kicked straight or if Buller's an inch or 2 closer to the line. We had 3 chances in the last few minutes. So the bleakness for me is where we were not that long ago to where we were now. Now, the thing when we played Penrith, sure, Buller was there, but I know Galvin's destroyed our season, but Galvin wasn't there 7 weeks ago. This is basically the same squad of players that we had. So that is a really big concern for me. And it's got to be fixed, and we've got to start getting that upward trend. Even if we're losing games, I want to start losing games 24-18 and playing with a style like we see Parramatta now, who seem to know who they are. They know their identity, and they're down at the bottom end of the ladder. That's what I want to see. That would be more encouraging to me than what we're doing right now.
That Buller loss for me is massive.
We can't rely on one player, Gary.
I know we can't.
If he gets injured or suspended or does an ACL, you can't rely everything on one player.
I'm not going to, like when I said 2 weeks ago, and I've said it a number of times in the last couple of weeks, that he is our most important player. I 100% believe that. Our attack changes completely once he comes back
in attack. He is. I think Terrell May is doing the work of two forwards. So to me, he's our most important player.
Look, our biggest weakness at the moment is that it's still that red zone attack. It has been for the last 5 years.
Yeah.
We can't score points once we get down to that end. Like you said, we had opportunities at the start of that game yesterday, and we were impotent in that 20.
Exactly.
If Taylor May gets that ball to the ground, or we score through having a better attacking structure in that opening 20 minutes, you don't know how that game.
They didn't even check it. They didn't even check it. They just said held up. Like for every other team, like even that young winger, he gets penalised for the roll ball, and you go to every try of Penrith. Well, not the long range one, but the other two tries. There were 3 roll balls in each set. It's like the Jenkins try.
Yeah.
Tunga gets up and just roll balls. The first try to Smith, Dylan Edwards gets up, roll ball. Like we just get picked on as well. Like not that we were ever probably going to win the game yesterday, but we've got to go above and beyond these refereeing howlers.
You know the ray of hope there, and I agree with you, mate. Like if we finish 15th or 17th, there's absolutely an argument to say there's no improvement, right? No matter how you want to frame it, if we finish 15th or 17th, we should be pretty annoyed at the season. But the one ray of hope, the dim light there, is that we haven't thrown in the towel yet. The last 4 seasons, and it may be more than that, that's what I can remember, by mid-year, just after mid-year, we throw in the towel and just put up the most horrendous, gutless, insipid performances week after week where half the squad don't even want to be there, right? That's happened. I still haven't seen that yet from this squad. I've seen poor football, and I've seen teams outclassed and outplayed, but I haven't seen a group of players that don't want to go out and play for the jersey.
They're having a go, but they were dejected yesterday midway through that second half. As soon as Abby came off, we needed Jerome to stand up and get really aggressive with the boys verbally and get them up. They looked defeated. They really that was concerning because they were in the game, but they dropped their heads when it got out of reach.
I'm going to throw something up here that I was thinking about earlier today. So it's a question without notice. End of year review. What does it look like? Who does it? How thorough should it be? Do we know the answers to our problems? Do we need to find the answers to our problems? Is it something that needs to be done very thoroughly, very clinically to find out exactly where things have gone wrong in 2025 and in the last couple of seasons, Rob?
For me, it's Shane Richardson. He's the guy that I trust and has to do all that. He knows what's going on internally. We can only speculate, the 4 of us from the outside, but he's the one that knows what every person is doing in that club, whether it's the head coach, the assistant coaches, the players. He's turned other clubs around before. We have to trust what he says. And the one thing I love about Shane Richardson, he's prepared to make the tough decisions. He's not out there to win popularity contests. He wants to turn us around. He wants us to win a premiership within 2 or 3 years. So I would trust Richo in whatever he decides to do. But, I do feel for the coaching staff and the playing group because at the same time, they can't listen to the outside noise. Even if we're right to a certain degree, they've just got to believe in themselves. But as someone who actually saw a lot of improvement in the first half of the season, I think we've just gone back at the rate of knots, and it's a really concerning thing.
In terms of our football team and our squad, I 100% think we know where the weaknesses are. But you have a look at the players we've signed. We've gone out and found Taylor May as a centre. We've picked up a second role for next year. And you're right, it's arguable what difference he's going to make to the side. I'm looking forward to seeing what he can contribute. I don't think he gets opportunities at Newcastle that he probably needs to get.
He's an upgrade on what we've got anyway.
He's an upgrade on what we've got. I looking back, I still like the Skelton signing because that did for me is it showed that the club can identify a weakness, which was coming out of our own end. They went and found a guy in reserve grade who was really good at yardage coming out of his own end, and they got into the club. So I think we're doing a really good job of identifying where those weaknesses are. What's key now is going out and finding the right people for those two positions that I think are still really crucial that we've got to upgrade for next year.
And I would add to that, we need to have a look at the coaching staff and see where the weaknesses are. I am still a Benji fan, and I'm not talking because of his history as a player. I still think he brings something to the coaching, and I think he's a good head coach. Or he's got the makings to be a great head coach. But the crosses and noughts that need, we need someone there that's doing that better than is happening at the moment, I think.
Yeah. The talk around Todd Payton, I'm still really keen on that signing, and it should be someone who Benji is quite comfortable with. And I think that is important for a guy like Benji Marshall. I think he's a guy that doesn't trust well.
And he can answer question number 1 on the job application. Have you played for the West Tigers before? If you tick this box, continue on to question number 2.
I actually think that should be a thing that we no longer look at. Like, that definitely has to be a thing that we avoid from now on.
Yeah,
the difference is
your point with
Todd Payton's the exception to that.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like, Todd Payton would be a good get, absolutely. But I think Benji needs to be challenged. He's got to have people underneath him that are going to challenge his thinking and bring something different to the table, and not just agree with him and make him feel good about himself, which I think is what he likes at the moment, because he's inexperienced. So yeah, he needs someone who's going to tell him he's wrong.
Which actually could be detrimental to his progress as a coach, because if he had somebody there, I mean, if you go back, Don Fern or Wayne Bennett, when Wayne Bennett was earning his stripes, he had a really experienced guy that he was co-coaching with at Canberra. It may actually end up being to Benji's long-term detriment as a coach by not having someone there
absolutely
that's able to, in the right way, hold his hand and help him through. So, it may not be, in hindsight, the right decision. Jobs for the boys is the accusation. Shannon Gallant, new head of recruitment, former head of pathways. So I'll throw back to you, Rob. Do you think we should have looked outside for someone new? I mean, Shannon's been a player. He's been around the club for a while. I mean, what do you think makes him right for the job?
I don't know much about Shannon Gallant. I only know what Adele has told me about him, and Adele is a really big fan of what he can do. I know he hasn't been in the greatest of form the last few weeks, but I believe he's the one that actually identified Jarrell Skelton as someone to come to our club, someone that could make yardage. I know he's leaving his wingers unmarked lately, but I think that
he's doing that role that
Shannon
people will
Gallant.
look for him.
Yeah,
Shannon Gallant couldn't tackle either.
Wait a minute, you got defence as well.
I'll tell you what, if Shannon Gallant was there and not get injured and Tim Molson, we would have done a lot better in 2009. I was a little fan of the pocket rocket. He was great.
Yeah, he was a wholehearted player for sure.
He was.
What do you think I know what Gary's saying. So when he puts his feet under the desk in that recruitment role, it's that prop, it's another second rower.
It's that prop. It's that prop.
It's that prop and it's that lock. They're the key things we've got to get sorted out. I don't think we'll get two more props, but as long as the prop we do get is that impactful guy through the middle that I think we've been desperate for 5 years, then that's the right place to be looking, and go out and find him and get someone who can actually create a bit of space for our halves to operate in. I think you'll see a big difference to how our team.
We need a journeyman too. We need a hardened 150, 200 game player as well. And look, we must have a massive war chest. And if we're happy with the backs that we've got, granted we've got to sign Taylor, there's a bit of money to be put aside for that. We need to get as many forwards as we can. These forwards aren't doing it. For Nuapole, like we all love Nuapole. He misses the tackle yesterday for Smith going through.
And he's been bad for the past month.
That's what I mean. I think he's an impact player. I don't think he's a starting prop. So we're way short, mate. We are way short.
The other thing I'd be looking at is 100% Paulo should be starting on the bench. I've thought that for a long time. Paul's not the guy who should be starting. Sione Fainu, the form, I don't think he's been quite as good the last couple of weeks, but the form he showed for the month before that showed he should be our starting prop.
His starting game against Canberra was brilliant when he started that night.
100%. He needs to be the starting prop this weekend. He needs to be the starting prop for the rest of this season. And he at least provides a little bit of variety in what you're doing. I think having May and Twal as your two starting props, they're both about, like, May's got a lot to his game, but his primary role is getting a lot of meters. And Twal, all he really has to his game is being able to punch out meters. So we really need someone who's a little bit different, has a little bit more impact, and I think you get a little bit of variety there if you put Sione into that role.
Does a more impactful second row and front row change the lens for Adam Doueihi? At the moment, I'm saying let's not re-sign him as a lock. I'm not convinced, albeit a huge amount of regard for what he's done and how he's come back, but I'm just not convinced at lock. But does that change that for you, Steve? If he's playing behind a pack that's doing a better job of marching up the field with aggression and winning the collision?
He was quiet yesterday until the last 10, 15 minutes, and he seemed to come to life.
Because he got moved into the halves.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I still think Adam Doueihi is worth re-signing if Adam Doueihi has the attitude to play where he's needed, which might be 13, but it might also be utility.
What sort of contract, Steve?
Well, ideally for us, one year to see how he goes, but I don't think you'd get that. So I think you'd have to put him on a 2-year deal, I would say. I'd be prepared to do that. I think he's shown us enough this year. Adam Doueihi adds value to our team, right? Adam Doueihi is wholehearted. He puts in, and he's skillful, right? He can go out there and do a job. He can do better than a job. Where his best spot is, whether it's 13, I like what I've seen from time to time from 13. I'm still concerned about him putting out 30 tackles in the middle every week. I'm not sure he's got the mindset to do that. But if he doesn't make it at 13, I think he makes it pretty good 14. I'd be happier than him at 14. This goes against what I said a month or so ago about having a dedicated hooker as your 14. But I'm not liking what I saw. Like Hope as our 14 coming on for 20 minutes. Man, he got trampled.
He did get trampled. But Appy was starting to fall off a lot of tackles.
Yeah, Appy does fall off.
It was getting worse around that time that he came off the field.
So it's more and more obvious now, right, that Appy needs to be playing
correct 50
to 60. So we need.
But Hope's not the person to be coming on.
No, but we've just re-signed him. We haven't got anyone else. We've got a 15-year-old coming through, right? So who's going to be that?
Look, I think we do need to pick someone up for 1 year to fill that role, and then look at Hayward coming through. I think he has a spot probably in 2027. But that talk around Adam Doueihi, there are rumours that he is quite happy to take a 1 year contract.
Well, if that's the case, that would be perfect for the club.
Because I think for him it's probably twofold. The fact that a 1 year contract gives him that opportunity again that he seems to be looking for every single year of proving he's worth more than the contract that's actually been offered. But it also gives him the opportunity. The Bears are coming in 2027, and they're going to be looking for someone. And there's already been rumours around about Adam Doueihi to the Bears. So I think he would be quite happy for that 1 year contract. But I can't see it being any more than that $350,000 mark, because you're signing him as a bench player or a backup. I don't think you can out and out sign him as a 13 at this point in time.
Well, he's still unproven.
That's right. So whether he's willing to take that role and that contract, that's the decision that Adam Doueihi has to make.
To be fair, 2 of our best 3 kicks last night were performed by Adam Doueihi, which is sad to say in a way.
Why do we not, if he's playing in the middle, especially even if it's in that lock role, his bombs from 2 years ago were probably some of the most dangerous kicks in the game. He did one of them last night. It's the first time I've seen him do it this year. Yeah. Why aren't we taking advantage of that?
Must be a clause in his contract.
So not enough money for him to kick.
Exactly.
Is that what you think it is, Joel?
I'll do the goal kicking or the in-play kicking, but not both. That's what's a condition.
Unless you give me an extra 50 grand.
Contract says, exactly. Or unless I'm wearing a number 6 or a number 7 on my back. I am worried about Appy, Rob. Another 2 years, I'm really worried about, I know it's longer than 2 years, but I think about Appy in 2 years' time and I start getting worried.
I can understand the concerns, but I'm an Appy fan. I think Appy needs a bit of a freshener. He probably needs the end of the season. We've played him at 80 minutes a couple of times this year.
Which we do to him every year. We run him into the ground every single year.
Yeah. His last 2 years were elite, and it was only, 4 weeks ago that he played brilliantly against South Sydney and made Latrell look like a reserve grader, the way he went past him twice. So I've got faith with him, and I also think if you put a better pack around him, He can pick and choose his moments a little bit better. But I will say one thing, up until the 52nd minute when he came off yesterday, I thought he was our best player, but people are bagging him on social media. So I don't know what they saw that I didn't see. I thought he was dangerous. I know he missed some tackles, but
he's getting very ragged defensively. Attacking-wise, he was really good.
But he bounces those misses. He kind of bounces you back into the middle, into the direction of where the defenders are. He's not a big guy. He's always going to miss 5 or 6 tackles a game. That's stock standard. But again, you have to question, looking at what Tristan Hope did yesterday, why did we let Talon De Silva go if we're serious about, I know we can't make the 8 now, but if we were trying to make the 8 or trying to avoid the spoon, are we really that desperate for dollars in the cap? Because we should have $2 million to spend, mate. Like with that, if we could have played Talon starting like the last couple of weeks and then bring Appy on and everyone's happy.
Yeah.
Happy.
I'd like $1 for every time I've started a sentence with why in regards to the West Tigers. I cannot answer that question.
You'd be retired.
I'd be retired, a rich man.
I was actually quite happy when we took Appy off yesterday, not because I thought he was playing bad, but that defence was getting a little bit ragged. But Tristan Hope came on, his defence was worse. So that's a little bit of an issue. Like even a tired Appy yesterday would have been much better than what Tristan Hope provided.
Let's finish up the way we started with one word. So I'm really throwing you guys in the in the fire. One word to describe the signing of Madden, Jock Madden, for 26 and 27. What comes to mind? What's the first thing that comes to mind, Garry?
The first thing that comes to mind is Back to the Future, but I'm actually quite happy with
4
that.
words.
I know, I don't care. Joel, you have 47 individual one words.
Yeah, but I'm the host, so you get the diplomatic immunity.
But I am quite happy with the signing. It's obviously a backup role, and
one
happy
word.
Happy.
No,
Happy's the word.
Happy's the word. I'm pleased with that.
They're from the same hometown, so Gary's probably his manager,
or his dad. You don't,
or his dad, or his cousin, or his uncle, or all 3.
So my one word, Titans. Titans game.
Right.
That's my one word.
Got the ball. We lost the game because he dropped it in.
Oh, that was off a kick. That's being very.
It was 100 years ago, too.
Okay.
Still in our memory banks, though, isn't it?
Back up. Back up's my word.
I'm going to say astute, okay, because we don't know who's going to get injured. He does dig into the line. He's got a good general kicking game. He can goal kick. If we're losing Dewey, we've got a backup goal kicker there. He's got a good passing game. It's just some defensive issues that we'd have to fix up. But like a lot of guys in our squad, like the Safeasts of the world, it'd be perfect if you could only use them 3 or 4 times a year in first grade.
Yep.
I think Jock can do a job if someone goes down, like for example, a Tanner Boyd has done for New Zealand. I mean, he's not the greatest player in the world, but he can do a job, and that's what we need. And he was a former Australian schoolboy half, so it's not like he's a bum.
Magpies ran second when he was playing for the Magpies. He's primarily going to be playing at the Magpies, so he's a good signing, and he's an upgrade on Kurt Falls, who's currently playing halfback for the Magpies.
Yeah, I like it.
So excuse my ignorance, but where is he at the moment? Is it
Broncos.
Brisbane.
He is Broncos.
Yeah.
Playing behind Adam Reynolds. He has played a few games, and I thought he's played pretty well when he's played for the Broncos. So, yeah, I'm quite happy with it.
My word is Dewey because I think it spells the end of Adam Dewey, that signature.
That's probably a good point.
Unless you're looking at him as a lot.
Jock Madden.
No, Adam Dewey.
That's on your behalf, Adam Dewey. All righty. Thank you, guys. Good job.
Thanks, boys.
Thanks.